in Chicago. Hope everybody is doing good. We have a couple other people. We have Don's in the back there talking, if you hear him talking about how he screwed over some airplane. But we have Josh. Josh is here. He's still over here crying because Fifi died. So if you guys have any, you want to give a minute and say sorry to Josh,
went out for Fifi.
Sorry for Fifi. Yeah, he wants to open up a GoFundMe. So I don't know who everybody is up. It is 10 o'clock back at our home.
Central.
So we're 9 o'clock here. So hope everybody's doing okay. So we are here just talking.
He's queer.
Yeah. Josh is queer. Sorry for Fifi, everybody. So Josh, tell us how Fifi died.
Coke overdose.
So he had a Coke overdose, I guess.
Yeah. Don't feed your edibles or your.
Don't feed edibles to Josh. So.
Did you forget to change the title?
Yes, I did. Yes. How are you, dear? Thanks. Yeah, I forgot to change the title. Mike Bedell's over here. He is the leader of Bedell's Property Management, right?
Yeah, Bedell Property Management.
Yep.
That is correct.
So, what's going on, guys? How is it all going on outside in the United States? It's 9:30 our time. Yeah, I know. It's 9:30 our time. So, my wife's on here.
Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah, that's support.
Just a little impromptu podcast.
Yep.
So while we're here all together in Chicago and just kind of talking shop and seeing what's going on with everybody. So.
Yep, that's just a normal thing. We're here nonstop talking about how Josh lost his dog and
What the fuck?
it was premature.
So
let's
talk about.
Let's
bring that topic up to light.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So it comes down to pickup lines.
Yeah.
Right.
So this lady was trying to pick up on Jensen the whole time. So after Jensen called Josh out for his dog dying, she kind of went over and gave him a nice big hug and said that she took a shower. Is that correct, Josh?
That is correct.
Was it awkward or was it not?
She was.
So was that a pickup line? Do you think that was a straight out pickup line?
What?
It was
Her telling you that she took a
That
shower.
was a deflection. I deflected her.
Fucking don't know, dude.
Don, dependable Don's garage says rest in peace, Fifi. So thank you,
You got your wife
Don.
and the guy in the room on the podcast. That's why I'm looking back and forth. It's like, what's going on here?
Dependable Don.
We have 3 people watching. Thanks for watching, everybody that's watching.
1, 2, 3.
Should we break down the story as to how Fifi came to light?
Yeah, how did Fifi come to life?
Jensen, I try to throw the key.
So earlier in the day, so we've had a long day of travel. So and we were just talking about like how we do certain things for our friends and we joke on our friends. So one thing that I do whenever I'm out with a couple of buddies of mine and one of us is single is I'll tell the waitress that my buddy's dog died and that we took him out because he's all sad and they're like, oh my God. So nonetheless, we're out tonight for dinner at Lazy Dogs in Lake Zurich, or what's it called?
New Haven or something? Deer Haven?
Deer Haven or something like that.
Some Haven. Mount
anyways,
Vernon or something. I don't know.
So
What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
the waitress who was quite energetic.
She was coked up.
She had a little too much.
Let's not make assumptions, but
we don't know.
Yeah.
That's not an assumption.
Anyways, so
Yeah.
apparently, I guess from what the guys are saying is she kind of took a shining to me. But anyways, so she came on about the beer that she sent me, and I deflected immediately to Josh and said that we took him out because his dog Fifi died last night. So she went and said that she took a shower and she gave him a hug.
So what kind of pickup lines have you guys heard before that just, I bet you Mike's got a good one. I
He
can
has-
tell you,
he's locked and loaded.
he's laughing over there. He's heard some good pickup lines.
No, I've heard a lot of bad pickup lines, but they all seem to work. I think we even learned that tonight, right? Like that in that gal's world, she was a winner. So
Right.
I think when people aren't totally sober, they're things work that wouldn't work otherwise. And I think that that gal was in a league of her own this evening, and in her mind, she was a winner.
Oh yeah, that's some real good words of wisdom there.
Made for a
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
I think when people are at that level of inebriation, they're winning.
Yeah.
They're winning. Everyone else might have a different opinion who's on a different level than them, but I think she thinks tonight went great for her.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think it went good for Josh. I mean, if we wouldn't have got out of there, he probably would have got some visitor in the middle of the night in his room.
I gave her.
Climb up the side of the building.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know that when you went to the bathroom, I told her where our hotel was and what his room number was.
That's why I'm on the third floor. Huh?
Yeah. Well, we did give her your number.
Third floor, so we don't want to hear those.
Hey, pets are allowed in this hotel.
Yeah.
I brought it with me.
Oh,
Yeah, you might get charged the pet fee.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So Don, what's a good pickup line
So
you've
Don.
heard? Wait. We're gonna call you out, Don. Come on.
I don't have to go. Say Canadian.
He's Canadian. He just says
I
A.
think the Canadian line is how's she going?
Yeah.
Right? How she be? Yeah, there you go.
How she be A?
I'm gonna try that one.
That sounds like a good one. Yeah.
Or like you could change it up, like did you catch hockey night in Canada?
Yeah. Catch hockey night. Yeah.
Did you see the Leafs last night?
Yeah.
Tough loss.
See the Habs got beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so Bedell, how's your business been going this year?
Good.
Good.
It's the best year I've ever had of business.
Yeah. So we haven't really had you on.
No,
So
probably
no, we haven't. So this is
Years
kind of a
go
big
by.
different. Yeah, I see why.
not.
What?
I missed that. All right,
Okay.
I mean, there's probably a good reason. I'm probably bringing the ratings down.
No.
It's, better as the trio of the three.
So are you getting ready? I know everybody's kind of getting ready for snow and everything. You already got your plow on, your salter on. You're all ready to go. Correct?
Ready to go, man. Ready to go. It probably means it's not going to snow now, but I'm ready to go.
Right.
Isn't that how it works? Like
Yeah.
when you have the unexpected snowstorm. What?
Nick's watching.
Oh, okay.
Nick's watching it.
When you have the unexpected snowstorm, you're like, of course, they're like trying to get stuff together. That's when things don't work, and it's like interject chaos, right? Versus like, of course, the year that like you get in, get set up early, get your equipment in to like get maintenance done on it or whatever it is. Like, of course, it's a year where then it's not going to snow till like February, right? Like,
Right.
wasn't that your year last year, right? Where like you like put all this work to like get set up and get these banging contracts, and like just never snowed.
4 events.
Yeah.
4 events. Yeah.
But you made out on the salt.
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
And some of those were like seasonal, so like it was great that other than the fact that you spent all the money on like equipment, salt, and the preparation, like at least you didn't break anything.
I didn't know what a snow event was until I met you guys. Honest.
Well, they just call that day of the week.
It's just
So
like
you're-
a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I never. What's that?
It used to be the same in New England. It would snow,
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, it's going to snow again. Now it's like, all right, it's January. You get till what, the first week of February and you get your first snowstorm.
So from what I understand, you guys communicate because you both pretty much do similar businesses during the wintertime. You guys communicated with each other a lot, just kind of touch base on like advice from each other and what was going on. Like, what was some of the communication that you two guys?
Oh, I mean, yeah. It's sometimes it's serious, or sometimes it's not. It's talking about like the availability of salt and how like you get like fleeced sometimes. Like it makes no sense. Like some of the salt we get in our market literally comes across the Atlantic Ocean. So you would assume that like it would be cheaper to get it to Josh because they don't have to like tunnel it down St. Lawrence Seaway or throw it on trains and like cart it in or truck it in or whatever, whatever chaos, pick a method, right? So like you think just like, oh, more shipping, obviously it costs us more, but you were saying you're paying almost like, double or like a whole third more at least on a per ton basis. And so I don't know, that's some of the stuff we talk about is like some of these commodities, like it makes sense, but it doesn't in terms of like what gets charged versus like like equipment cost is much more like the same coast to coast, and there's no variability. Which then once again, it's not like they're making the equipment everywhere. I mean, we're like extra price to that, being that we're like going to Echo tomorrow, right? So the equipment's like basically made in the middle of America. So you assume like, okay, maybe it'd be cheaper for me or Scott to get than like you guys because it's got to get shipped twice as far, right?
Mhm.
But like the pricing seems to be pretty universally the same. So the more you dive into that, like it's I think part of it's trying to rationalize like the hell do they get this pricing from, man? Or like
Right.
they just like they know that like people only pay so much in a given market, but for whatever reason, like there's the Boston Tea Party, but not the Boston Salt Party, I guess. So like, for whatever reason, you pay like it's like you're saying it's like $50 more a ton or something like that, right?
The cheapest that I found right now is tree, and I don't know the quality of it, but it's 117 a yard.
Okay,
And
that's actually more comparable.
That's
Right.
the cheapest, but essentially it was 150, 175.
Yeah, that's what I remember you saying, and I was like, "What? I'm paying like 80 or 90 a ton,"
Which is crazy,
That's
because like you said, you figure it goes right through Massachusetts into Michigan.
Right.
And there is salt like underneath Michigan that gets mined, and like that I could see being like cheaper just because of the transportation cost, right? Like once it's up at ground level, like it's you're not even shipping it hundreds of miles. It's like sometimes only like 10 or 20 miles and getting dumped in someone's bin.
Right.
But like they only can bring up so much salt a year, like out of the ground, and typically the municipalities and like state government gets the first grab on that supply. So it's a varying amount that's left over that makes it into like the contractor and retail market in Southeast Michigan. So based on that, like contractors that'll buy like a whole freighter load from Chile. Is a country that exports a lot of salt, or for like Argentina, or like there's certainly a long way away. So like knowing that, I just find it kind of bizarre that like, okay, well maybe if that's where some of your salt's coming from too, like, or even not, like even if you were just getting it from like the Cleveland, which is like virtually the same mine, it's just the other end of it. Like, I don't know, man. Either there's like some really good reasons we're not a prize to, or like I don't know, we're all getting ripped off.
Right.
Walk to me the process of how you guys seek out new clients. Like I know you guys have been kind of servicing a lot of the same customers that you've been for the last few years, but like when you're out there trying to find new jobs, it's different from like trying to find a lawn you're trying to mow. Like you guys are trying to get commercial contracts for certain places that you're utilizing your services for, like salt and snow removal. Like how do you go about what advice would you give to someone that's like jumping into the business to try to go out and get customers for that type of job?
Well, it like depends really what you're trying to do with it. Like if you are trying to really get commercial stuff, you gotta like know your costs, but also know the risks that you're inheriting on it. I think too, like a lot of it's like more money, more problems, but also like more risk. Like the biggest accounts can have the best margins, especially if you have a winner like Josh had or something like that, where you're not like necessarily outlaying as much as you possibly could to service a site, assuming you actually had to physically service it as much as you were expecting. But I just think that like a lot of times guys have to go like trial by fire. Like they think that like because the numbers are just most of the time bigger like ticket prices than lawn care. They like are like, oh, this is sweet, I'm gonna make all this money, but they don't really realize that like, yeah, it's a bigger ticket cost because there's a lot bigger overhead and line item expenses that go into actually being able to service that. And so I think that there's the reason why a lot of people like come and go in the snow industry, like, and it's a lot more than just the, yeah, it's working in the middle of the night versus the middle of the day, and there's the urgency factor, and yeah, it's like probably like 10 degrees out, and there's a lot of like, it's certainly less idyllic than going and cutting a lawn on an 80-degree day, right? But yeah, I admittedly like it's been kind of a while since I've taken on a new client for snow, so. I don't know. There might be a few things I'm missing, but I think that's at least for like new guys, that's probably something to work off of. Is like you gotta maybe think a little bit more before you just sign up and like learn the hard way, because winter will have a good way of humbling anybody's best efforts and good plans.
So would you say commercial is going to be a lot higher risk than a residential, or would you say they're both about the same?
No, I mean commercial's for sure going to be more risk, but like there's still a level of risk no matter what. It's
But consider the cost of, like you were saying, the higher ticket a property. So on $100,000 property, you're looking at about a $40,000 insurance policy to cover, like a true insurance policy to cover that, and that fluctuates in mass. I think it's with CG 2292, it's a lot more expensive than just going into a residential where your BP, your business owner's policy will cover what, like 10,000 square feet?
Sure,
Or something
sure.
like that.
Right.
And so that's just it. Is like you're certainly taking on like a lot more like just like slip and fall risk. Because like people are gonna slip and fall when you're cutting the grass or spreading the mulch, right? Or if they do, it's a bizarre circumstance versus like those are you gotta like really own what you're signing up for to do, like, and that's where I think people see like the glory and the potential money and like the upsides of it, and then have to live the downsides of it. It's kind of a dream killer, I think, for some people. They don't realize quite what they signed up for.
Right.
There's a lot of money in the residential plowing too.
Right.
If that's the route you want to go. The difference is like bigger margins in residential, usually smaller in commercial sometimes. But with the commercial, we have, the seasonal accounts. Like last year, we still made out. We have our variables with some of the salting accounts, but we got paid a full season, decent coin for 4 plowings.
Right.
And
So
payroll was very
very
low
low
last year because of that. So we made out decent.
So Josh, we know, has employees.
Mhm.
Mike, do you have employees, and do you just do it all yourself pretty much?
Yeah.
Is that I know in the past you've had employees, so is that better in the long run by running it all by yourself lately?
Yeah, for what I'm doing, it's it's pretty niche, but I'm open. Like if the timing is right and it made sense to have some people, I maybe that'll happen, but I'm thinking probably not. Like I've well connected enough that if I need access to labor, that's a phone call away most of the time. But I've positioned myself pretty good where I don't think I'm really I'm like not really setting myself up for failure. I'm taking out a very comfortable amount, if anything, intentionally based on the fact that it was such a good year. I'm not taking on like I've already said no to a few things, and I probably will end up with at least a little bit less of like my own sites. We'll see, because I work with Fullerton and a couple other people, how maybe the dance card ends up once the flakes finally get into it. But it's like there's certain services you can do that like tear you out more than other things. Like and for me, like cleanup services, like spring fall cleanup, or like snow, like there could be could be a lot of work on our sites sometimes, and so I've learned to just do over the years, like you know, you don't need the money. Maybe don't kill yourself.
Right. Right.
So no, I've set up my own little thing, my own little world to live in, and I'll probably just keep that going until either I physically can't do it anymore, or I don't need to do it. You know, I kind of have a pretty good idea of my big ticket accounts. Like they'll likely be around another decade or so, maybe longer, and that may be a good exit point if they can all kind of within a year or two maybe like change hands or move on. That might be a nice point for me to ride off into the sunset or something like that. But no, I'll do what I'm doing, and then you know I see like the people that Josh have going on, and that's like a level that I respect, but like I'm not playing at that level, and the closest I'll ever get to it is like a buddy of mine, Troy Klug, it's kind of like the same thing going, and there's been times over the years where I get the nudge and I just go clean some stuff up, and you know the money end works itself out on
Right.
that, you know,
Right.
but I mean you're a much bigger fish, and it's you know you set yourself up well to be able to swim in that type of pond, but a lot of guys, you know, they would have to go through a lot of learning, I think, to get to the point that Josh is at.
How do you acquire your customers? Like, how do you go up to a business like, hey, listen, I want to start doing snow removal or salting for your corporation?
Well, I mean, typically it's my number kind of gets spread around. It's like a word of mouth type thing. So I really haven't had to do a lot of that. If anything, like that's probably something that like isn't a strength of mine because I've never had to get good at it. It's like it could go back to maybe blow up my face if I had to get out there and hustle. Like I don't know, maybe be better at it than I thought, but for better or worse, really the past decade, my number has gotten passed around enough that I say no to a lot of stuff, just because there's like not time and like not the desire. Like you know, when you got a good thing going, you know, I'm not trying to like shortchange what I have going on right now to take on something new. And like the only time I'd even remotely entertain that is like when it's like our top couple existing clients kind of like almost throwing them a bone by helping somebody else out or whatever, like taking care of a friend of theirs or something like that. But you know, admittedly, the few big accounts that I have, they spend so much money every year that like it's hard to keep up with the shit that they want to do, let alone try and you know that like that doesn't with what they have going on. I'm not very hungry for much else. At that point, I'd like actually like to you know not cancel a vacation and get some me time.
Right.
I have kind of been hoping, admittedly, that things slow down at some point the past couple of years, and they can't kind of keeps getting kicked down the road, considering government just like will print money or bail out the banks or quantitative, you know, whatever it is. And so, like, as long as that shit keeps happening, I think, you know, the big money will just have access to big money, and it'll be. There's been like at best like a couple little like hems and haws and pauses, and then it's just like, all right, let's do everything. And you know, it's I'm the one who's like, okay, well, Rome's not built in a day, guys. So you have your big idea, and it's gonna take a couple years to do that. So let's slow our roll here. And, you know, money can buy you stuff, but it can't always speed up the process. It can't. We don't have a magic wand. None of us do. It'd be convenient in the winter, right, to just wave the wand and the parking lot's melted, but it don't work like that.
So there was a question that just came up. Are you afraid that as getting older, a medical procedure may be the thing that wipe you out financially more than inflation? What are you doing to protect this and your health?
Well, I mean, I can't really protect my health. Like I can. We can all try to take care of ourselves,
Right.
But
I mean, it's a tough industry. I mean, that we do. I mean,
yeah.
That's with anything, though.
But
Yeah.
you know, I thankfully I've done this for like 20 years, so I'm set up enough that like I could probably not do this anymore if I really had to. There's other things I could go do. You know, I mean, over the years I've turn down other career opportunities or whatever. You know, I just this past week caught up with some old friends in the music industry, and it's always a reminder that even though I really don't desire to go back and do any of that, like there's endless opportunity in that industry. Not to mention, you know, what I do now, but the past handful of years, I've got like my own projects, investment wise, that I'm just sitting on. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I could like really screw things up.
Right.
You know, it's possible, but I don't know. I've worked pretty hard, and I guess I'm blessed enough that I don't know, I don't spend a lot of time really worrying about that. I think I'd have to. I don't know. Anything's possible, but it's a great question,
Yeah.
and it's something that like people should worry about. Like in a different world, I'd probably like, you know, structure some disability insurance or something
Right.
like that. But like, I don't know. There's I have other ways that I can hedge that, and you know, figure out how to make money with your money, and you know, like if you invest the standard way, you end up with this diversified portfolio, but you can also do that for yourself. You just start kind of like crafting it a little bit differently. So I don't know if that's a good answer, a
that's a good
convoluted
answer,
answer, but
What would you do, Josh? I mean, you run a company with multiple people.
And
Could you, if you fell and say, we're putting in a wheelchair tomorrow, what would you do? I mean, could you still run your business? Would you walk away from it?
What I'm trying to do right now is completely take myself out of the labor part of it.
Okay.
Not necessarily out of the field. I'm going to be in the field.
Player coach.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More coach management in there, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we
Right.
started from shit. Most of us started with nothing, so
Right.
you get hurt, you got to figure it out. You figure it out. You know, there's ways
Right.
to make money, but
Right.
you know, like you factor, like Mike said, you factor in some sort of long-term, short-term disability. It's cheap. Short-term disability is cheap to put to SPLI. You go on maybe $50 a month.
Right.
You know, you put it in, write it off. But I mean, I got a torn ACL on this knee. I got excessive inflammation in this knee. Like I know it's coming at some
Sure.
point.
Right.
I can't even get down anymore and fix the paper without buckling to get up. So I mean,
Right.
I know it's coming. So
yeah.
you know, you prepare for it. And I mean, and if you're a solo guy, in the same sense, you prepare for it by what your services are,
Right.
what you're doing. Like, you know, you're not going to be on your hands and knees when you're 50, 60 years old doing that. So you
Correct,
figure a way to do it. Maybe you
Right.
get into a machine,
Right.
you know. I mean, you got to plan ahead. These are cash flow businesses.
Right.
You know,
Right.
100%, man. Very well said.
Yeah, so you got to find a way. Like I know guys that have run these businesses and they've been lucrative with them and they've been smart with their money. And when they hit that, you know, that 50 mark, they go join an operators union
Right.
and they max out what they can there, you know, and they get the health and stuff. So I mean,
They cash out. I mean, like you build enough of a balance sheet, you float off and sell some ice cream cones for 4 or 5 months over the summer
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, I've seen people go a million different ways over this, and like sometimes it's being able to just totally, you know, back away and retire. It's like go do something else, you know, for supplemental income for a while. I mean, you know, everyone's hiring right now, so
Right.
like, you know, they the thought that like if they health or otherwise things didn't work out, you know, to quote former Red Wings coach Mike Babcock, I'm not too worried about going and finding a job.
Right.
And you know, as neither was he, man. He's floated around, and he doesn't care whether he works or not. So he has a house actually like 15 minutes from me.
I mean, but that's even to say if you're an employee and you work and you hurt yourself. What are you gonna
Right.
do?
Right.
If you're working somewhere they don't have.
If anything, they got
Right.
way more risk because like they are the labor. Like you know, unless
Right.
they really have a managerial position, like they've got way more risk than an owner does because we have the opportunity to like reinvent. You know, so like in maybe the right world, I could still, you know, do everything and just literally delegate it all out to other companies, and excuse me, there wouldn't be any like, you know, in some cases, I don't think anyone know or say anything. Like, you know, maybe would take a little bit smaller of a cut on things, but
Right.
there's so many, like, you can't do that if you're a laborer. Like, yeah, no, I'm not showing up. This guy's going to show up, but you're paying me. Like, don't work like that, right?
Right.
So yeah, there's I don't know, there's a will, there's a way, but I think there's also something to being said about like just like if you've done it for a while and made good decisions, you like, you know, I think society views our industry as like generally pretty desperate and money hungry all the time.
Right.
And like, there's probably an element of truth to that, but like, there's also like a sizable population in the industry that's like fairly well established and like, yeah, they're going to work and yeah, they're making money, but they don't need anybody's dollar desperately. You know, I think really the goal for everybody is to get to a point where like if life hit the fan, you could like essentially fire, like you could blow up your season and not have repercussions for it.
Right.
You know, like if there was a health thing and you had to call it quits, even if that's what it was, like you just kind of take your money and walk away. It's maybe a different version of just like hitting the sell button in your portfolio and taking your money and doing what a lot of people have done that. I mean, that's why there's so much money in the money market funds and bonds right now, is because people have literally done that on like the investment end, is like they've just like taken their cash and gotten out,
Right.
looking for different opportunities, right? So it's
Right.
not the lawn care, but happens in other sects of the world, like all around us. You know, I'm sure we even all have clients who've hit that sell button pretty heavily over the past couple of years.
I like that perception of desperation, because that could always be the beginning of the start of your dive into the business. And then you take that.
Yeah, a lot of guys, because this
guys,
is like
yeah.
fast money, right?
Yeah.
You grab a mower off Craigslist for $50 or whatever, push mower, and you go make a few
And
$100.
Yeah,
sometimes-
it's just like I'm mulching my aunt's yard and just give me $200 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right.
And that desperation, you know, you could turn that into success. You could turn that into, you know, it's almost a positive thing, because that desperation is what drives you to succeed. You know, and then you make what you can from it from that point forward and build up on it and see what your strong points are and what your weaknesses are, and you recognize those points and you continue to do the things that work for you and end up in getting yourself to a point in life where you're accomplishing more so than that desperation, that initial desperation.
But a lot of guys stay in that desperation phase too, where you're constantly catching that next job to make the difference. Like at some point you have to let your balls drop and kind of move to that next level. And like a pay to play though, like you got to kind of hustle around and make deals and network. Like yes, how we get snow jobs. I mean, you network, you go around, you go to some of these seminars, you talk to guys in Site One or Home Depot, wherever you go for your supplies. You know, you network. Like the big thing I'm noticing right now in snow is LinkedIn. I didn't know how big that. I mean, I'm not active on it, but there's a lot going on with LinkedIn right now. With like a lot of the nationals and the regional companies are on there. They all mingle, and that's how they get together.
So that's what the corporate clients are.
Yeah.
Like, they're all LinkedIn people, and so like that's kind of it's maybe a better way to approach them than like how you'd approach residential clients for the most part.
Right.
You know, and I think there's an element of like a lot of the big money stuff, it's all like referred anyway. Like people want they don't want to go on the hunt. They don't want the cold calling or whatever. You really have to come in like qualified from a reliable source. I.e. like their friends or something
Right,
like that, which,
right.
you know, I don't know how reliable of a source at the end of
Right.
the day it is, but it's a perceived reliable source. And, you know, I've, for better or worse, I've gotten accounts over the years, like when we were, you know, growing or expanding to a point that, you know, like there was like, so you do so-and-so's yard. It's like, yeah, they're like, okay, well then you're hired.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, okay. That was easy, you know. You don't have to really prove yourself, because like that's already established. Like that's why, if anything, it's like for better or worse, it's like a bragging point. Like, oh yeah, so I have the same landscape guy as so and so has, or
Right.
whatever, which is like super pretentious, but that's kind of how that crowd is. They like to talk about the hired help.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys, any of you guys, I know in our area, and I don't know if it's in your guys' area, but we see a lot of companies now, because of last year not getting a lot of snow, are dropping out of snow altogether this year.
Good.
Yeah, no, I don't
So
see
do you
as much
see
that.
that?
I see people like dropping their prices and like that's gonna be a humorous situation for somebody at some point in time because it's thankfully like none of my sites have played into any of that at all. But I've seen that with like friends who I do some work with or even that I don't do work with, just like talking about like the sites that maybe do some more price shopping or like like obviously some of like the chain stores and stuff like that, they're just typically lack of loyalty more so than not. And like it's just funny because we really haven't had that light of winters. I mean, we just haven't had like a really bad winter, but they've been like relatively average. So I like it's funny, there's a guy in our group that like we all know Evan, who's like not that far from me, and Evan's like convinced it doesn't snow anymore. And like, what's funny is like, he may actually be right because like we live close, but like not crazy close. So he may actually like legitimately be getting like less snow at like his house or his sites or something like that, to where like he is somewhat justified in saying that. But like I've seen him say that, I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like I went on an average number of salt runs last year, like. Like if I was in Josh's shoes, I was like, yeah, man, we only went out 4 times instead of 30 last year. Like, he'd really have a point and a hill to stand on. But, like, I feel like that mentality's kind of gone rampant a little bit. And, yeah, I don't see it as much people getting out. It's, like, just, like, feeling like they're going to, like, I think take some odd perceived risk on the seasonal account and, where they think, like, they're going to clean up because they're going to get paid X dollars a month and not do anything, right?
Right.
And maybe that'll be true. I guess we'll find out by April, won't we?
Right.
But, I some of the things I've seen, I'm like, well, if we like, there was one storm we got last year that was like, well, it wasn't that crazy. It was just like it was wet and heavy, and it was like 6-8 inches, and it was like. It was one of those that starts separating the men from the boys a little bit in terms of like, do you really have the right equipment? Do you really have the labor? Should you have taken this site on or not? Especially like big parking lots. You got the equipment to push it. You're gonna get yourself in a world of hurting. And there's somewhere it's like, yeah, we get 1 or 2 of those, and that's like your income for the year will be gone on those couple of events, and then like. It's a long service period to have where you blew the whole service fee in 2 or 3 events. It's to me that's taking on like outsized risk that isn't good for the industry because like people start doing that, then we all pay for it on insurance.
And don't forget those snow insurance policies are not refundable and they're paid up front.
Yeah.
You can't finance, you can't make payments on that. So if you got a $27,000 insurance policy. You lose that account, you lose that money. So not just the money on the account, but the difference on the insurance and then the equipment. And then most guys, out of desperation, will quickly move the truck, the plow, the loader, whatever it is, and lose their dough.
So now, Josh, you put salt on site, correct?
2 sites we did last year.
Okay. So now, do you have to prepay for any of that? So you just buy.
When we do the ice
Beer by team.
we pay for that as we go, but we get 90 days with WL French out of Boston. So.
Okay. And Bedell, you buy salt as needed, or do you buy pre-salt, pre-ahead of?
I've done a bunch of different things over the years. I've even like gone in on a whole freighter of salt on like a fundraise once when we were bringing money over, and they needed more and more money to round it off, and eventually they got to my name on the list, right? And it was small peanuts, but it's yeah. I mean, I've done all sorts of stuff, but a lot more often than not, I'm just kind of like picking up and paying. But there's been a couple sites throughout the years that we've had like liquid stashed on site. There's still one of them that I'll always say, for as long as I want to, I can have some sitting there. So not really in a hurry to change that situation. It's kind of a nice little hedge. So yeah, it's the liquid's a little easier to kind of like store and not have to clean up. Which obviously, as you know, then you got to move the bin blocks and all that. It's a little bit of a thing, but yeah, you said it.
Well, you gotta hire, well, I have to hire a little bit for those blocks.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, that's another $1,000 just to move those right there.
Right.
I was gonna say, you're spending $1,000 just to set up the bins and break them down.
The loaders, and then like the logic shelters, the logics are another $2,700. Coffee bin, you rip them, and then you have to have your guys come in or a company come in and take them down for you. It's expensive.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm just spoiled because there's like the salt is a big game in our market, so everyone's gotten in on it. So even this year, there's one new salt supplier that's like sort of in the middle of my route, and I'm not mad about it.
That's good.
I'm really not
good,
mad
yeah.
about it. Like we'll see. They're new, so we'll see how that all pans out. But I can already think of a handful of instances where I would have re-upped there as opposed to rolling on further. But like the other thing that's interesting is like a lot of the somewhat bigger players that have their own bins, like everyone's selling to each other now.
Right.
And so like it's almost like once you like there's the typical retail spots if you just started in the industry you could figure out where to go to.
Right.
Then once you're like networked and connected, like if you can't come up with salt right now, like in the middle of an event, you need to hang out with some more people and have some more conversations.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
like
true,
you really
yeah.
got to network. But
Yeah.
I mean, between Facebook groups and everything, I mean, you got to be.
Oh, I think
because it's
the same
like
way, yeah.
it's like almost every couple miles somebody has a bin at this point. It's like it's once you realize what it's what the setup really is and how many of us there are. But like none of us are competing with each other right now because there's still like more work than any of us can really do. So yeah, it's the salt thing is it's really gone from. It's funny, some years there's a shortage, so it's gone from like it's such a perceived pain point to now it's like, yeah, dude, you need some salt, no worries,
Right,
bro,
yeah.
come on by. It's very interesting. And like can totally flip on a dime. Like we get a way worse winter than expected. It won't just be the guys who really screwed up on pricing this year. The people have taken the risk. Like the guy who's his first year, like I wonder if there's some contingency where if he gets cut off, like how's that work for him? Like it goes from feast to famine, right?
Well, I see that because I know one of our suppliers will take care of the people that have been there for years. So it comes down to when we get a big snowstorm, say they have 15 people that kind of come in there and get salt on a regular basis. They will sell to them before they'll sell to anybody else off the street.
Sure.
And because they know that we're going to be there to buy the salt. We're ones that, they could have a pallet left and Joe Blow could come off the street like, hey, I need a pallet. I'll buy it for you. I'll pay double. They're not going to sell it to them. They're going to sell it to their regular customers.
Oh yeah, we've gone into that where it gets rationed out. That's never very fun.
I mean, it happened last year. I know we had a couple times where
you
it
guys
was
had more of an issue.
we had more salt, and they pretty much, because we didn't have anything really, they sold it up north towards you guys. So it was more sell it to wherever it was going to go, but we'll keep a couple here for just the guys that are buying.
It always seems like there's some shortage at some point in some area you hear about over the winter, but
Yeah.
well, that's just
Yeah.
part of the fun.
Oh yeah, that's very fun. Jensen, you're always the most positive guy here.
That's what Nick says. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick says he's very positive, so who knows? We'll see.
Positive. I know nothing about what they're talking about.
Neither do we.
It was so for our guys, it's been a great comments, some great information here from Mike Bedell and Josh.
Don's here. He just
John's here. Yeah, Don's here. He doesn't want to talk, so he's
Just
quiet.
Taking in.
He's grabbing the information. So thank you guys for watching. We are going to head out because We got a long day tomorrow.
Josh
Yeah,
needs a
I'm
shower.
headed to bed.
Josh needs a shower. We all need just showers and some sleep.
I need to shower.
So thanks for watching us on Landscapes by Acme and Landscaping to the Point. Thanks for listening to us on Spotify. And thanks for our Twitch friends and our Facebook friends. Later, guys. Have a good night.